Hello and welcome. Today we're doing the very last question of the combination sum series. It's called combination sum 4. Now, in case you haven't been following along, if you can, try to go watch combination sum 1, the first video in the series. I'm going to link it down below, but it'll really set you up for this question. But in case you're not trying to thoroughly learn everything, if this is more of a last minute prep, don't worry, we'll still cover all the fundamentals in this video. So, what is this question asking? Well, we're given an array of distinct integers nums and a target integer target. We want to return the number of possible combinations that add up to target. So example 1, we have 1, 2, 3, and our target is 4. There are 7 ways to sum up to 4, so our output is 7. And there is a note here that different sequences are counted as different combinations. I think this term is used a little loosely. It's not technically a combination, more of a permutation, but regardless, different sequences, different orders count as different ways to sum up to our target. And example 2, nums is 9 and target is 3. There's actually no way to sum up to our target, so we're going to output 0. So how do we do this? Well, say I'm looking at example 1 here. Again, I have 1, 2, 3, and my target is 4. Now we know how to make combinations, right? We're going to pick one number and see how far down we can go adding numbers to our current sequence up until we hit target. So in this case, say we go with number 1. So if we pick number 1, our current target that we're looking for now is going to be 3. Now from here, we have again 3 options to use. We can use 1, 2, or 3. If we picked 1, at this point, our target we'd be looking for is 2. If we went 2, it would be 1. And if we went with 3, the target we'd be looking for is 0. No other number is needed. And the current combination that we have actually sums to target. So if we were keeping track of all the combinations that sum up to target, we were keeping counts of that, our current count would be 1. Now again, from here, we want to branch out and do the same exact thing. So going another level below, at this point, our target we were looking for was 2. So say we went with 1, we'd be looking for 1 more. And if we went with 2, well, now our target has reached 0. So this is another combination that sums up to target. And over here, if we had 1, 2, if we went with 1, again, this is another combination that sums to target. So at this point, our counts are 3. So the last endpoint we really want to hit is this one over here. If we add another 1 here, finally our target equals 0. So counts is now 4. Now over here, there isn't any other branch for us to go down to. We've sort of hit 0 on all of these. We found a way to sum up to target. Now, if we hadn't exactly reached target, if we went over, this would also mark a good stopping point. There's nothing further to really explore. So we can go back up our path. We started with 1, and now we can do the same thing again, just starting with 2. So if we used 2, well, now our target would be 2. That's the sum we're now looking for. And going down a branch for this, right? This is going to be a depth first search. So more accurately, we go down one branch, one path at a time before going back up and down. So here, if we used 1, since we have all these numbers available to us, at this point, our target would be 1. And if we use another 1, at this point we hit 0, our total counts is 5. And there's nothing to really go down here with because we've already summed up to 0. Any other number that we add on is going to overshoot, so we want to stop here. And in that same principle, we don't want to go back up here and try out another number, either 2 or 3. We've already tried 1 and we hit our target. Using any greater number is also going to overshoot. We're assuming these are all sorted right now, so if we hit our target, there's no need to try any other greater number. So there's no path we're going to go down here, which means we're back up here trying out another number. This time we go with 2 since we already tried 1, and we hit our target. So now counts is going to be 6. And we just keep doing this. We go back up, then try with 3 and repeat the same process up until we find all of our possible combinations. So if we were to use a depth first search, a recursive approach, how would that look like coded up? So if we want to code this up, at this point, it's going to be like clockwork. The first thing we want to do is sort our input nums. So nums.sort. Now I'm going to initialize my count. So count is going to start off with 0 and define my recursive function within here. So def combinations over here. And I'm going to be passing in a target. Now with the recursive function, there are 2 things we want to keep in mind. The first is our base case. When do we stop recursing? And the second is our recursive case. When do we keep going? Well, we know we want to stop once we hit 0. Once our target equals 0, there are no more numbers we're going to be looking for. And if it hits 0 exactly, we can just increase counts by 1. We found a new way to make a combination that sums to target. So if target equals 0, I'm going to increase counts by 1. And I'm going to define this as self.counts over here. So self.counts plus equals 1. Well, if that is not the case, if our target does not equal 0, that means we're literally any other place besides the end over here. Well, now we want to try out all the numbers available to us and see if using those will decrease our target enough to equal 0. So we're just looping through all the numbers available to us. So for num in nums. Now we only want to use this number if we don't overshoot. Now say we are over here, right? We have 2, 1, and the target we're looking for is 1. We don't actually want to loop through every single number in our nums because we're only looking for 1. There's no point in searching anything that's greater than the target we're looking for. So if num is greater than our target, we're gonna break out of our for loop. We're no longer in this for loop and trying any other number after us. And we can do this because we sorted this to be in ascending order. Every other number is going to be increasing. So if we already overshoot with our number, no other number is going to work as well. Now, if this is not the case, if number is not greater than target, that means it is less than equal to it. We're just gonna call this again using that number. So we're calling combination again with target minus the number that we just used. And that is it. This is our DFS recursive function. Now we just need to go ahead and call this. So I'm going to call this with the original target that we're given. So target. And in the end, we just have to return our counts. So return self.counts. Now let's go ahead and run this. And it is accepted. Now, if we were to submit, we get a time limit exceeded error. This is because the time complexity for this solution is exponential. So looking at this tree again over here, if our target is 4, we could potentially be hitting a height 4 layers deep. And at each layer, we can use all the numbers in our input nums. So we're using all the nums as far down as our height. So this is going to be n to the target, which is an exponential time complexity. A much better way to approach this would be to use dynamic programming. So to solve this using dynamic programming, what I'm going to do is initialize a DP array as big as target plus 1. So DP is going to be all zeros times target plus 1. So if we're still looking at example 1 over here, target is 4. We're going to have a length of 5 filled with all zeros being our DP array. So we're looping through from index 0 to 4. And what we're going to do is at every single index, store the number of combinations that sum up to that index. So for 0, there is only one way to sum up to 0. It's nothing at all. So DP of 0 is going to be 1. Now, how do we fill out the rest of this array? Well, we're just going to be looping through our array. So for I in range target plus 1. Now we want to loop through all the nums available to us. So for num in nums, and over here we're going to have 1, 2, 3 available to us. So as we're looping through, say we use 1 first, I want to see the number of combinations I had for I minus num. So if I am at index 1, and if the number that I'm using right now is 1, I want to see all the ways I had to make 0, and I'm going to use those same ways and just add 1 to the end of all those combinations, and I know all the ways now I can make the index that I'm on. But I can only do this if the index I'm on is greater than equal to the num that I'm using. So if I is greater than equal to num, dp of I plus equals whatever is stored in I minus num. So dp of I minus num. And in the end, all I have to do is return what I have in this very last index. So we're going to return dp of minus 1, that very last index. So let's go ahead and submit this. And over here, this should be dp. Okay. And it is accepted. Now, before leaving, let's just do a super quick walkthrough using this example just to see how that array is actually going to be filled out. So just finishing through with our example, our nums is still 1, 2, 3, and target is 4. We have our DP array over here. We know at 0, there's only one way to get there, and it's a combination of nothing. So looping through this 0, it's going to stay as is. We go back in this loop, and now I is going to be at index 1. We loop through all the numbers in nums. So we start off with 1 over here. Now, if I is greater than equal to num, which it is, we're going to add to dp of I what was in dp of I minus num. So that's going to be what was in 0. We're just going to add that to our index over here. So we're adding 1 to our index. And what this means intuitively is we can just use all the combinations that we had in 0 and replicate that into our own index with the number 1 added at the end. So in order to sum up to 1, we're just going to append 1 to the end of all the ways we could go to 0. Now we want to see if there are any other ways to sum up to 1. So we're going to go back in this for loop. Num is now going to be 2. And I is not greater than equal to 2. I is 1 right now. And I'm going to actually write I up here so it's clearer. I is 1 right now, and 1 is not greater than equal to 2. So we don't go in here, we go back in the loop. Again, 1 is not greater than equal to 3. So we exit out of this for loop. There are no more numbers to iterate over. And we go back in our outside for loop. So we move I down to index 2, and we loop through all of our numbers in nums once again. 2 is greater than equal to 1, so we can go in this if condition, and we're just going to add 2 dp of I, so dp of index 2, what we have in dp of I minus num. So 2 minus 1 is 1. That means there's one way to get to 2, and that's by using 1, 1. So we go back in our for loop. Num is now 2. I is greater than equal to num. That's true. So now dp of I plus equals dp of I minus num. That's 1. So we're just going to add 1 to our current index. This means we have 2. And again, intuitively, we just take what we had in 0 and append 2 to the end of that. So in order to get 2, we have 2 ways to do that. Going back in this for loop, we're at number equaling 3, but I is not greater than equal to 3, so we exit out of here and go back in this for loop, move I down to 3. Again, we're just going to loop through all the numbers in nums. Starting off with 1 over here, we check what's in dp of I minus num, so 2 over here. We're just going to take everything that we had in 2 and just add 1 to the end of that. Going back in this for loop, moving n down, I is greater than equal to n, dp of I plus equals dp of I minus num. So now we're checking index 1. There's one way to get to 1, so now there's also going to be one more way to get to 3. So over here, we're just going to add 2 to that. Going back in this loop, n is now 3. I is greater than equal to num, and dp of I minus num is 0. So there's also one more way to get to 3. We take what's in 0 and just add num to that. So we have this so far. Now doing our very last iteration, we're back in this for loop, looping through for n in nums. Our index is now 4. I is greater than equal to nums, so we go in here, dp of I minus num. So there are 4 ways to get to 4. We're just going to add 1 to the end of everything we had in 3. Now looping through this again, num is now 2. All the ways we could get to our current target minus 2, so all the ways we could get to 2, we're just going to copy that over and add 2 to the end of that. So we're adding 2 more ways over here. This puts us at 6. And looping through one last time, so n is now at 3. Again, I is greater than equal to number, so we can go in this if condition, dp of I plus equals dp of I minus num. So what did we have at 1 over here? That's 1, so there's one more way to get to 4. So we're going to take what is in 1 and just add 3 to the end of that. So these are all the ways to get to 4, and we return what's in this very last element over here, which is 7. And you can see this is exactly what we were expecting. And it's much better than our previous exponential solution because this has a harder cap on it. So over time, this is going to be nums times target. For every single index, we're just going through every single number in nums. And for space, the only thing we're storing is an array as big as target. So we just went ahead and solved the combination sum 4. If you have any questions whatsoever, of course, let me know down below. I will answer all of them. If this video was helpful, like, comment, and subscribe. It really supports the channel. And as always, I will see you in the next one.